Dude, so I'm trying to beat all the PlayStation 2 games ever made. That's 4,218 games. It's a lot of games. How do I beat all of them? I'd actually like to know myself, so let's get started. And the next game is Monster Hunter. What an enjoyable experience I'm going to have because I love Monster Hunter. Let's see what happens. Ah, damn it, you little shit! Whoa, whoa! What the fuck is happening? I can't see my character! Oh well, damn. I knew this game was going to be rough, but I wasn't expecting quite this amount of roughness. It's the very first Monster Hunter, and they have a lot of cool stuff going on, honestly. There's a lot of stuff that comes from this game that is still in the newer games, such as Monster Hunter Rise, a game that I play quite a bit right now. I played through World, I played through Generations Ultimate, I played through Try a bit, I played through Freedom Unite, which is on the PSP. I mean, there's tons of Monster Hunter games, but this is the first one. And like I said, it's pretty fucking rough. So let's just start with a quick progression of what happened when I played the game. This game does not hold your hand at all. It does teach you how to do things. The first 2 sets of quests, each star level of quests, 1 and 2, gives you a bunch of tutorial missions. It just kind of teaches you what you're going to be doing a lot of as you go through the game. Things like gathering, catching bugs, mining, getting meat, making the meat into well-done steak, killing small animals, catching fish, and combining things. That's what you're going to be doing most of the time. This is what prep work is, because you're going to need to prep yourself before you fight monsters for many different reasons. I'll talk about exactly why later, but you'll just learn all these prep things. In fact, you'll barely fight anything these first several quests, like the first 8 quests. You're going to be just gathering and learning. Now, the game doesn't tell you exactly what to do all the time, so you have to figure it out. Something like cooking the meat, which is this cool little mini game. Yeah, this cool little mini game here. So at the very end, you have a split second where the meat is just the right cooked, and so you press the X button at the end of the song at the right time, and you get well done steak. Too early and you get raw steak, too late you get burnt steak. Now, raw and burnt, I think, still do something for you. I think they still give you a little bit of stamina, which is what meat does for you, gives you stamina in this bar. But it doesn't tell you that you need to press it at a certain time. It just kind of expects you to learn. And once you do learn, it is easier to do. You won't have to do it forever, but it is a good way to learn. And it is a cool little minigame, but it's something that isn't in the newer ones very much because it's just not necessary. But you'll learn stuff like that. You'll learn all these little things, and you'll have to perform all of these little things over and over. Like I said, you're going to be prepping for fighting some big monsters. Once you learn all of these things, you'll start to fight monsters and you'll start to carve off of them, where you get pieces and parts that you'll put together to make weapons and armor. You see, the game does not actually have a story. Your whole goal is that you are a hunter who is helping villages and people out with monsters who are maybe going crazy, being aggressive, just creating a nuisance. The only reason that you're doing this is to help people. That's it. So you get these contracts and you go perform them. That is it. There's no overarching story where you're fighting specific monsters for any certain reason, other than the very last monster kind of showing everyone that you're a true hunter by fighting this thing called the Monoblos. So there's no story, so we get to skip that. However, the quests are the big part of the game. It's pretty much all you have. The first time you fight a real monster, one that actually poses a challenge other than just some small ones that surround you and hit you over and over, is called a Velocidrome. He's just kind of a regular enemy that's bigger and has more health. Now, this is not how it goes all the time. This is just a few examples. There's a couple of them. There's the Iodrome and there's the Velocidrome, but they aren't necessarily like this all the time. They just are a good introduction to fighting big monsters and learning what kind of prep work you need to do. And in the end, we fight several big monsters that actually take quite a bit out of you. Mixed in with the big monsters are some other quests that make you fight maybe the Velocidrome 3 times in one mission, carrying some eggs, which we'll talk about later, and just doing some other little things, maybe killing lots of small monsters like 30 Vespoid, which are little bugs that are flying in the air. You have to kill 30 to finish this mission, which is fine. So after you do these, you finally get to the 5-star quests, and once you beat enough of the 5-star quests, the very last quest is unlocked, which has you fighting a big monster named Monoblos. Once you kill him, credits. So that is the progression rate. You go right through these missions like this, and that's it. It's very simple. Like I said, there's no story. So you just do the quests until the next ones become available, and when you finish them, you'll eventually see credits. And there are 2 other parts to this game that I'm not going to do. One I can't do right now because it's kind of really difficult to do, and the other one because I'm not insane. The first one is the special missions. The special missions include beating every single mission in the solo campaign, so that means not online, by yourself, and they unlock a certain set of special missions that you must beat all of, and then then you get to a special last monster, Diablos, which is Monoblos' big brother, who Monoblos is 1 horn, Diablos is 2 horn. So you fight all these, and you get a special commendation that can upgrade this cool, like, Excalibur sword that's behind your character's house. It's not really that interesting, but that's what you do there. But you already see credits before this, so I didn't do those because it involves doing some crazy missions that I'm not going to do. And I already saw credits. That other one is online, and online does not work. Obviously, the servers are down. You can probably find some private servers. I think I saw some people talking about it, which is great, but I'm not going to do that. There's so many missions online, and it's difficult, and let's just say that I get online and I do them by myself, months, because it's a hard game. There's a lot of prep work and a lot of leveling up. There's not a real end online, so we're not worrying about the online. There's just no way I can play it, so we stick to just the solo. So that is the progression, but how does the actual in-game quests work? Well, here's how it goes. You get a character who has a big inventory of stuff. You have weapons and you have armor. You're able to carry the one weapon. You're able to carry quite a few pieces of helpful equipment like health healing stuff, stamina healing, things that disrupt monsters or affect monsters, things you can use like traps to trap monsters or explode on monsters like bomb barrels, and other pieces of equipment that you can use to combine. So if you wanted to combine an herb and a blue mushroom, you'll make a potion. You can't carry an infinite amount of items in your inventory, so sometimes you carry the materials to make that item. So if you have 10 potions, you carry the materials, and then if you use all 10 potions, you can combine those two things to make more potions. That's the only way to bring extra. That kind of limits what you need to bring with you into a mission, so that's why you have a lot of prep work. You have a lot of things to bring with you. When you go into a mission, you have a certain time limit to do whatever it is that you need to do, and you finish it. That's it. You can't finish it any other way. I believe there are sub-quests that you can finish to leave, but you won't actually finish the mission unless you do the overarching goal, which is mine this, or get this many items, get these many special mushrooms, kill this monster. Whatever you need to do, you have to do it to finish the quest for it to count as clear. During a mission, you can do whatever you want in a map, and there are several maps. So you go to the map and you learn where things are, where gathering points are, where bugs are, where fish are, where mining spots are, where different monsters show up. And once you learn the maps, then when you go into a quest, you can kind of have a goal, like I would like to gather these things as well as finish whatever quest I have. In this game, this is the only way to go into a map to actually do anything. So you'll have to accept a quest, which means you're going to want to find the perfect quest to do so that it's either easy enough or palatable enough to do while you're gathering what you need. When you're not in a quest, you are in the main town where there's a few people that can buy and sell from, and the village elder who will give you quests, your house where you store all of your stuff. You have a big chest that you store all of your items in, can pull and take out of there whenever you need, your bed to sleep on and save the game, and that's about it. There's very little to do in the village other than just kind of set yourself up for the next mission. Missions cost money, so if you don't have enough money, you can't accept the mission. Weapons and armor can be either crafted or bought. When you buy a piece of armor or weapon, there's only so much you can buy. Crafting is really where you need to go. You'll craft a piece of armor, and that will be it for it. All you'll do is craft it. You need the specific amount of materials and money to craft it, and that's it. Weapons, however, in this game are much more in-depth. You craft one, and then you can upgrade a weapon. For guns, it's very straightforward. You craft the gun, and you upgrade the gun to be stronger. That's it. But melee weapons craft into specific trees. So if you craft a bone sword, then you'll be going up several different bone trees. When you select to improve your weapon, you can choose one of 2 or 3 ways to go. Now, it doesn't show you or tell you this, but if you pick the bone sword and then upgrade to either a different bone sword or maybe even a special named sword or another third named sword, you'll branch off of paths. It's much easier to see in the newer games where it actually shows a branching path. This one is literally just the name on a list, and you don't know what's going to come next. It's all just a guess, or, of course, look up online what the branches and trees look like. But for now, you just kind of pick things that have different attributes and stats, and you look for certain things. This is important because armor and weapons are, of course, the biggest thing that help you. Armor right now in this part of the game have no skills. You're not getting anything to help you other than defense and resistances. Resistances are important, but it seems like defense is much more helpful as pretty much every monster hits you physically and you don't have elemental damage all the time. So you're going to want to get that defense up as high as you can. And yeah, probably try and keep your resistances from being too low, because trading defense and resistances, like higher defense may give you lower resistances, while lower defense may give you better resistances. You just gotta pick and choose what you want for the monster, and it takes quite a bit of materials to actually make, and the materials of course come from the monsters themselves. So if you fight a Yin Kut-Ku, you can bring his materials back and make the Kut-Ku to armor, and he has all the special strengths and weaknesses of that monster in the armor, which is pretty cool. And it even looks a little bit like, you know, you're trying to look like the monster, which is cool. The weapons, however, are a little different. For guns, you have two guns, the big and the small gun. It's easiest to say big and small gun. They have their advantages and disadvantages. The big gun is slow but powerful. The small gun is a little bit weaker, but you're able to maneuver easier. And each of them uses ammo. You buy different ammo, and each gun tells you what kind of ammo it can take, because there's lots of different types of ammo. There's normal ammo, pellets, scatter shot, elemental, there's paintball, there's healing, there's ones that increase your armor and attack, all of that. And you pretty much just load your gun, fire it until it runs out, and then load your gun again. It's almost like a slower shooting, you know, weapon from an FPS. It's a much slower one, but that's how that works. It's pretty simple, and you look as you upgrade the gun to see what ammo it accepts. That's it. For melee weapons, however, they have two different systems. They have the attack and they have the sharpness, and the attack does matter, of course, but the sharpness also matters. Sharpness is how well your weapon can hit monsters, and there's a couple different sharpness levels. There's red, orange, yellow, and green, and in that order, worst to best. Yellow is about the one you're gonna see most. Yellow means that you can usually hit a monster in their weak spot, and if you hit an armored spot on the monster, your weapon will actually deflect. The higher your sharpness, the less you deflect. At green sharpness, which I believe is the highest you can get in solo, you can usually hit most armored spots, especially something like the hammer, which is blunt, but the greatsword can deflect off of armored parts. You still do damage, just less. And then you also lose more sharpness as you swing, because as you use your weapon to either defend or attack, you lose sharpness. So eventually when you're in a quest, you're gonna have to sharpen your weapon with a whetstone, which is a whole other thing in and of itself. But you watch for the sharpness level and you watch for the attack level, and you learn how the weapon works, because each weapon comes with a couple different attacks. The hammer has a charging ability, the greatsword is just great. The sword and shield has a small shield that can help block attacks with the small sword attacking very quickly, and the lance has a huge shield which blocks most attacks, and you're slow with, but the lance can poke out from behind the shield. There's a couple options that you have, so you just gotta kind of learn which one you like, and I actually go through several different weapons. I should have stuck with the light bowgun, but I went with the greatsword because I liked the power. I just like being really aggressive in this game, and sometimes in these early games being aggressive isn't that great. But anyway, so that's how the weapons and armor work. You craft them using the materials you get from monsters and money. Sometimes you can buy them outright, but most of the time you're gonna have to craft them using specific materials. That's why you're gonna be fighting monsters over and over, so that you have the chance to craft all these cool pieces of armor and weapons. Okay, let me just quickly talk about the big monsters. I'm not gonna talk about all of them because there is a lot to talk about, and this is not about to be about a 40-50 minute video, okay? This is not gonna be that kind of video. Instead, let me just tell you about the prep work you need. A lot of monsters are weak to things. You need potions to heal, you need whetstones to sharpen, sometimes you need bombs, sometimes you need traps if you need to trap a monster or capture a monster. You'll also need tranq bombs to tranquilize him once he's in the trap. And you'll also just need to understand how the monsters work. So your prep is going to be getting the materials together in missions to craft, to have items in your inventory, to gather, to get ready. And then you need to understand how the monster works in the first place, because monsters don't just work like you'd expect them to. There are no health bars. There are no damage numbers. There's very little to tell you if you're doing something right. You just need to learn after doing it a few times what works. So, for example, for some prep work, you bring some potions, you bring something called a paintball, because when you join a quest for a big monster, the monster's not on your map. You just have a map to show you the areas. The only way to mark the monster to know where it is and where it's going is to throw a paintball at it. The paintball has to hit, and it only lasts for so many minutes. You need to hit it again before it wears off, or you'll lose the monster and you'll be running around searching for it for days, wasting time, because as I said before, there's a time limit on each quest. Then you also need to learn how monsters work. Like I said, you don't get to see damage numbers, there's no health bar, nothing. Instead, hitting a monster will have blood show, which means that you've hit the monster. You'll see sparks if the monster has armor in that area, which means that your weapon has been deflected. You don't want to hit that area. You want to mostly hit monsters on the head, the tail, or the stomach, or the wings. I suppose the wings are all good. But legs usually end up being armored, so you want to try to avoid legs if you can. The head and the tail are the best, as you can sever a tail, and hitting monsters on the head with something like a blunt weapon like the hammer can actually KO the monster, knock them out, have them fall on the ground, stun them, whatever. And hitting them just in general for a lot of damage also stuns them and can knock them out. But those things aren't given to you. They aren't said, hey, you hit this monster in the head 15 times with a greatsword and he'll fall over, letting you do a little extra damage. They don't tell you that stuff. You just gotta learn. You also don't know how much health a monster has. You'll never know until it begins to limp. Or you break parts of its body. And you can tell pretty easily when you've broken a part on the body, it changes, it clearly changes. You'll see things like broken wings, broken pieces of their head, their face, broken pieces on their leg. If you sever their tail, well, their tail will fall off. Also meaning that it renders their tail attacks much less useful. And when a monster limps, that's when it's dying. And monsters can go back and heal, so that's why you need to mark them with a paintball. Let me just look at one monster so that you can kind of understand the issues with fighting these monsters, because this game is not at all perfect. The new games, oh, wonderful. This, so fucking hard to play. Let's look at Rathalos, the worst monster on the list, the monster I had most trouble with. The first thing is I got everything ready and I started fighting the monster. This is the first big monster. I fought a Gypceros before and a Yin Cuckoo, but this is a huge-ass monster, and it really takes a lot of understanding. When you go into the mission, you find him, which is usually in the third area. He's the first big monster that you fight, and he's eating another monster, and you can go up and paintball him or attack him, whatever you need to do. And as you do this, you find out that his attacks are very powerful. They knock you down, you fly all over the place, and that monster does not let you have a break. You really need to find a break in between his attacks. It just tramples your ass, it shoots fire, it'll fly up in the air and claw you with its claws and give you poison. It'll catch you on fire with fireballs when it flies up in the air, and it'll just dive bomb you from the air. That sounds like a lot, right? As opposed to my like 5 or 6 attacks with my greatsword and my grounded abilities, I can't fly up in the air. Jesus. So this guy has a lot going on for him, and there are many areas in the first map that he can go to. The first problem with Rathalos is the AIs want to continuously move from area to area. Monsters move from area to area when you're hurting them or when they decide to move for any reason. Well, Rathalos is the fucking worst, dude. Rathalos just gets up and moves the second you enter an area. Let's say he's gone to area 4. You run to area 4, and then he flies up and leaves. Okay, alright, whatever, it's fine. He flies to area 9. Okay, let's run through a couple areas, get to area 9. Okay, here I am. He flies up in the air and leaves the second I get there. I run to area 4. Hey, here I am. I'm coming to fight you. Nope, he immediately flies up in the air and leaves again. Fuck you, bro. Can we please fight? I'm just running around. This is boring. Then you get to area 9, I get in there, and he one-shots. Isn't that just wonderful? Now, you do in each quest have 3 lives. Your first life, and every subsequent time you die, you can only die 3 times. It's called carting, because you get brought back on a cart by these cats. So you can only die so many times before the mission is over no matter what. So you can't just die a bunch. You have to be a little careful. Yeah, you can die once or twice and at least have a buffer, but damn, dude. So once you fight this guy and you realize he moves area to area, you really gotta commit, besides the constant area transitions. Another issue is how hard Rathalos is and all of its abilities and how much area they each cover. If you swing your sword, the second you swing your sword, he can do a tail attack, and the tail attack can hit you almost no matter where you are. There's very little room to like be safe. You need to be right underneath his legs to miss the attack, or just positioned right where the tail misses you. The hitboxes in this game are not that great, so you'll get hit most often, and you'll say, what, that's bullshit. Yeah, probably, because the hitboxes suck. The fire attack isn't too bad, and the poison attack up in the air, which is very rare that he does, but he will do, is also not too bad. Just when he flies up in the air, run away from him so he doesn't have the opportunity to do that, and then wait for him to land, or throw a flash bomb to knock him out of the air. Make sure he's looking at you, though. If you do not hit him with the flash bomb perfectly, you won't get the flash off, and you'll just waste a fucking flash bomb. After this, there are some other things that are issues. Monsters in areas will attack you while you're fighting the big monster. The big monster can hurt them, but does he? No, he comes after you. You can also fight the small monsters, but God forbid you ever turn around for half a second to fight them, because Rathalos will come over there and munch on you. Dude, you're just dead. You have no chance whatsoever. It's really hard to balance fighting the big monster and getting out of the way of the small monsters. Now, one way to fix this is to go into each area and kill all of the monsters and hope that those monsters don't respawn. They can, but they don't always. However, with Rathalos, there is 2 areas that has monsters that respawn. Its nest, for some fucking reason, it has a bunch of Velociprey, which you'd think would be meals for it, but they always respawn in there. They never stay away. And one area where there's cats. These are the felines, and they're really cute, and they're all they do whatever. But these little black cats steal your items and stop you from attacking if you're you're in mid-swing. They'll just jump up in the middle of whatever you're doing, steal an item, and knock you over on your butt real quick. Oh man, you get knocked over in the middle of fighting, you're dead, man. And it steals your items. The only way to get those items back is to immediately attack it. Immediately. If you wait too long, item's gone. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be potions, could be paintballs, could be whetstones, could be bombs, anything. And it could be I feel like it could be your map. Don't let those cats do that. And no matter how many times I hit them, sometimes they just don't go away. Fuck you, little cats. I hate you. So that's a problem. They really bully you. Every little monster bullies you while you're fighting the big monster, so you've got to balance that. Sometimes Rathalos goes into an area with no monsters. Rare though. It's fucking rare, and I love it, but man, does he just want to get out of that area the second he gets in there. So those are the issues that I have fighting the big monster. It is tough. It took me many times fighting Rathalos to actually kill it. In fact, all the monsters took many different attempts, but this one had all of the issues. Small monsters being an issue that I can't get rid of, area hopping, super difficult to fight attacks, especially with the greatsword. And here's where the guns probably help, because if the monster attacks and I try and go in to get a sneak attack, I have to be on top of it with the greatsword, and my swings are slow. With a gun, you can aim from far away when it's doing that and shoot it, so you can still get some damage going, and you can actually be much safer. I wish I had stuck with the small gun, but I really liked having the greatsword. It was fun. It's strong as shit, but goddamn. And honestly, the monsters don't get knocked out or knocked down very often or for very long. You're lucky to get that thing to be on the ground for more than 5 seconds, man. In the new games, they get knocked out for about 20 seconds where you can wail on them. I mean, the difference in game, is big, so they have more health in the new games and there's a lot more things to do. But this game is like, they fall down, get up, and then beat your ass. If you are not on top of that monster the second he falls down, don't fucking attack. You're just gonna get your ass destroyed. Rathalos was a freaking hard monster to fight. All of them were, but that's a good example of how hard the big monsters are. There's a lot of understanding that goes into the game. And I believe that's it. I mean, that's the end of the game. We hit credits. You got to hear a little bit about the monsters, see some progression, see about the game, and let's real quick talk about how I feel about the game, which is I'm so glad they made it and it continued on from where it was, but damn, this game was rough. It's fun, but it's not that fun. And honestly, the most fun part is getting together in a group and playing online, because you can have up to 4 hunters fighting monsters. That's a lot of fun. I play the new games, I play with people online, I play with my sister, and it's a lot of fun to group up and fight monsters. But by yourself, in this game especially, it's just brutal. It's hard, it takes a long time, and there isn't much to do. It's bare bones comparatively. Obviously, it's unfair to compare all the time. But I mean, if you're gonna play this, that's it. You don't have online, you have difficult missions with crappy hitboxes and very few moves to actually do. You've got a lot of prep, and man, in the new games, you just don't have so much prep. So I'd give this game a decent, it's definitely not a great game on its own for me, at least. I found too many issues and thought there was way too many things that could have just been polished up a little bit, and it would have made the game a lot better. It's not a bad game by any means, but damn. So there you go, everyone. Monster Hunter for the PS2 is complete. The longest game I've played so far, and it may be the longest game I play for the first 100 games. We'll see. But thank you all for watching Monster Hunter. A do 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 do. I gotta do the song every time. So here we have another picture from another game from Stable Diffusion. What game will I be playing next? Can you guess? Do you know what this game is? Because we are on game number 16. I can't believe we're on game number 16. It took me so long to do Monster Hunter. I had to wait for it because I was getting it for Christmas, and then I also had a lot of stuff going on. My son was home from school for an extra week, and the game is hard, and I just didn't have as much time, so this next game should be quicker. And then after this game, I already know what games I'm doing, and some of them are going to be bundled into 2, so there'll be 2 games per video for a couple of them, because some of them are small, short, and not anything that one video needs to cover. I think a couple per video is fine. That way you can see a little bit about it, because what am I supposed to do? There's Dora Explorer games for the PS2, guys. Just come on, give me some slack here. So hopefully these next games will go a little quicker, and I think over the next 2 months we'll get quite a few videos out and bolster up the collection of videos. And we'll probably be on number 25 before you know it, and that's important. I get the first 25 done, algorithm for YouTube or some crap, I don't know. We're just gonna get a bunch of videos out there, fun ones. They'll be more fun. This one had a lot more to explain and was just so long. I couldn't do anything super special with this one, so sorry if you wanted to see like all the monsters. It took a long time, and this video is already a long-winded feeling video. So thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. There was a lot of work that went into this, and it was a tough game. So I'll see you all for the next game, which should be soon. Later.